the technical side of trading. And technical, when you talk about trading, it has two sides. You got the fundamental sides, is like, reading balance sheets, understanding companies' earnings, revenue, EBITDA, shit like that. That's fundamental analysis. Then you have technical analysis, is when you actually pull up stocks, options, whatever it is, commodities, whatever, on charts, and you're actually using technical indicators and technical analysis to kind of predict price movement on those stocks. Technical analysis, in my opinion, is absolutely necessary thing to learn if you do want to trade options seriously. I definitely think it's something that is worth putting the investment in. One, because technical analysis is not only applicable to options, it's for every tradable commodity. So whether it's crypto, oil, corn, soy, the other commodities, regular stocks, technical analysis is something that you can use universally in all of those asset classes. So it's definitely something, and this is something that's not going to, the use of it is not going to expire. I mean, granted, the market is moving towards a lot of algorithms where you got robots making a lot of these trading decisions, but knowing how to use technical analysis is very important. And so going to his question in terms of support and resistance, the support and resistance is extremely important. I definitely use that, what he said. No, I did. Somebody said I confused when I said wait until the contract ends is riskier because you have to buy all those stocks. No, I'm just saying if the whole point is when you're buying an option contract, right? If people who are trading options like what we do, once we make our profit on the contract, we sell it. The longer you hold the contract, the more risk you have. If the contract is super far in the money, holding it longer is less of a risk. But if it's not in the money, it's more of a risk. So again, these are all relative things. But in general, when people are trading options contracts, they're not going to hold it till expiration. Most of the people who hold the contract to expiration are the people who actually want to exercise the contract and buy or sell the underlying assets. How often do you suggest calls or puts? I mean, that's like, I don't think you should ever go into trading with a mindset of, I need to do X amount of calls or X amount of puts. I think you have to move with the market. You are not bigger than the market. You can't beat the market. Like, it's just really, you really got to kind of follow. You got to kind of flow with the market. So you're not. There's a saying in trading that's called the trend is your friend, and that's kind of really a universal concept. So you're not really fighting the wave. You're really trying to see what the wave is and riding it and hopping off and making your money. Like, that's really what you're trying to do. So you should never look at it like, how often do you do calls versus puts? Like, if shit is going up, you should be on calls. If shit is going down, you should be on puts. Like, that, that's as best I could say. Best I could say it. How you following pot prices? What's on the left screen? No, the left screen, that's my Thinkorswim app that's open. So Thinkorswim is a TD Ameritrade, which is a brokerage. That's their trading platform. It's pretty intimidating at first when you look at it, but it's not that difficult to learn. You could they got tons of tutorials online, so it's not that crazy. Is options worth it for day trades? I don't really understand that question. I mean, if you want to know if options is worth it getting into a 2-day trade, I mean, but I mean, everything. Here's the thing: options is very volatile and risky. So again, like I don't want to gas anyone up. Like, this is something like easy for dudes to do. Like, if you're not trying to like put in time to like really do the education and like invest in like learning how to do this the right way, you are gonna get burned. Like it's only a matter of time. So I'd say it's worth it if you know yourself and you know you're willing to put in that type of work to take it to that level. Somebody asked, "Do I trade earnings?" I have trade earnings before. It's not something that I personally uh, try to do. My opinion on it, I'm agnostic on it. Like I don't I don't think it's bad or good. It's just not necessarily something I like to do simply because I know how much games niggas play in the market, and I know how easy it is for a couple of hedge funds to get together and manipulate a stock's price up and down. I mean, you've seen it all the time. Like, who did this shit last week? I mean, I think Microsoft did it too. Like, even when Microsoft earnings came out and then the shit dropped, like, you'll have companies that have popping earnings and then the shit have dropped. And you'll have companies that have horrible earnings, like Snap the other day, and then it goes up 20%. Like, that doesn't make sense, you know? Snap goes up 20% with bad earnings in the middle of a pandemic. Like, that's market niggas playing bullshit. So I don't necessarily, that's personally why I don't really like playing earnings. You know, I also try to stay away from name brand stocks, but I'm not going on the record saying earnings are bad or anything like that. Like, earnings, if earnings is what you play, that's what you play. Like, it's, different people do it. The biggest do's and don'ts for beginners. I mean, I would say the biggest do's and don'ts for beginners. I'll say one of the things: don't hop into shit without without doing education first, for sure. And even when you do education and you are comfortable with your knowledge of when you do want to get into the game, like, don't put up any money you can't afford to lose. I tell people that even when they join options game, I'm like, don't start off with no money that you can't afford to lose because, again, options is very volatile. And else, when you're trading, like, for people who want to take trading seriously and you're trying to trade seriously, you have to look at trading like a business, and all businesses have overhead, and the L's you take when you're trading are kind of like the overhead for you running a business. So you kind of also got to come to the grips that you are never going to shoot good. And, I mean, you're never going to shoot 100%. You're never even going to shoot probably 80%. And nobody shoots 80%. Even you look at these biggest hedge funds, dudes have a year when they, do 200%. They'll have a year when they do crazy. But over time, these dudes aren't necessarily shooting that crazy of a percentage. And you don't need to shoot that crazy of a percentage to make money. You just got to be right more times than you're wrong to make money, to be profitable. So education is definitely big. I would definitely put some time in trying to learn technical analysis. Me personally, I learned chart reading through babypips.com. Babypips.com is based on Forex, but you could kind of skip the Forex part and just kind of just soak up the chart reading. It's a completely free program, but that shit should have definitely tightened you up in terms of getting started into reading charts. So, yeah, I would say those are probably the biggest do's or don'ts. We'll keep it like that. Where'd you get your knowledge from options? Options, like, I got into options a lot. Like, I kind of fell into options. So, like, I kind of bounced around. So, by the time I was trading options, I already knew how to read charts, which is another reason why I say it's like, it's important. Because you may realize you don't like options, but you may want to go trade Forex or go trade crypto or whatever the fuck you want to trade. And learning how to read charts is a transferable skill. So, it's transferable amongst all those classes. So, when I started messing with options, at that point, I just really had to learn what options were and about options themselves. But I was already familiar with a lot of the technical aspects of just market movements, how to buy and sell assets, et cetera, et cetera. Chart reading. So I just had to kind of understand the concept of what an option was to start getting that. One of the books I tell people all the time. This is one of my. I always recommend it to dudes for the Options Gang as a recommended book. This is a book by Daniel Crosby. It's called The Laws of Wealth. This joint right here is a really good book that speaks to investor psychology. And that's a book that's applicable. It doesn't, if you're doing crypto, forex, whatever, like that's like just a book, a really, really good book about investor psychology. I mean, but outside of that, you'd be surprised how much shit you could learn on YouTube and just the internet in general. A lot of places have a lot of free content. You got places like Khan Academy, Options Alpha, their YouTube channel, Data Dash. There's a bunch of dudes like on YouTube that, even after I knew how to read charts, like I just check other dudes' techniques on how they looking at charts. And I don't, I might see a little thing that he does and I'll take it that. And I might look at dudes and be like, nah, this nigga don't know what the fuck you talking about. Like, yo, trading is like, I tell dudes, it's like imagine you like Batman, like everybody's Batman, but you choose what shit you want to put on your utility belt, you know what I'm saying? And you choose what shit on your utility belt you want to use, you know what I'm saying, for that specific villain. But it's like, it's really up to you. So there's some people, like I said, that don't know how to necessarily read charts, but they do all their trading off of stuff like earnings, fundamentals. And there's some people who have found success doing that. There's some people that only trade purely on technicals and don't take any type of fundamental considerations in. A person like me, I'm probably more 70-30, where I'll have like, I don't do 100% either side like this. I use like 70. Most of my plays are majority based on 70% technicals, but there have to be some fundamental considerations that would justify, whatever price direction I'm banking on. When is Cryptology Pod returning? I don't know. That's a great question. You gotta ask Elgin and Dutch. They'd probably be able to answer that for you. Let me see. That's it. If we don't got no more questions, I'll cut it off now. I'll give y'all a couple more minutes. Just let me know if y'all got any more questions. If not, we could wrap this up. Last chance. Any more questions? Just let me know. About to wrap this up in a few. Nah, it's babypips.com. So it's BABYPIPS.com. Nah, it's so PIPS.com. So yeah, Baby Pips, like I said, that's where I got started in the chart reading. It has like, it's based like a school. It's like an online school. It'll have from like pre-K like all the way to high school. But it's Forex based, so you could do the whole class if you want to learn Forex as well. But you don't necessarily have to learn the Forex components. You could kind of sift through it and just focus purely on the chart reading part of it. Is Robinhood good for options? Robinhood is a horrible trading platform. Here's the thing about Robinhood. The thing that's the best thing about Robinhood is that it definitely has by far the best and easiest user interface. So what Robinhood is extremely good at is introducing people to options and giving people a comfortable platform to start trading options on. That's where any type of praise I have for Robinhood would end. Outside of that, it's a horrible platform. going back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of bid-ask spreads, when you're on these different brokerages, you'll have different bid-ask spreads. So again, Robin